good morning and welcome to quarter-final 4 of the 2012 Foxtel Cup, where today at the mighty MCG we'll see Port Melbourne take on South Adelaide in what should be a terrific contest. We're seeing pictures here of Port Melbourne warming up in the rooms. They were really impressive against Darwin, against the NT Thunder up in Darwin, I should say. And South Adelaide, and I welcome Barry Hall, they were really impressive against Williamstown here.
Yeah, they certainly were. They really come to play that day, and Williamstown are a quality side, so it was a good win for them away from home.
Well, Baz, it's been a terrific competition so far. Take us through the Foxtel Cup fixture so far.
Yeah, a little bit about the Foxtel Cup this year. Morningside had a pretty good win against Launceston. The NT Thunder, who we thought were going to upset Port Melbourne, was a great win from Port Melbourne to go up there and get the chocolates up there.
Thanks, boys. Yes, no place we'd rather be than the home of footy on a Saturday as we watch Port Melbourne make their way onto the MCG, the business end of the Foxtel Cup. As Barry and Adam said, they were so impressive in that match up in Darwin, and the chance to go through to a semi-final to take on Claremont, two of the informed teams in their respective competitions. Of course, Port coming off a 46-point win over Coburg last week. And South Adelaide, so much to like about what they did at this venue against Williamstown. They really fought it out and got their way through to a quarter-final. And they got a full record this year in the VFL. First on the ladder, 9 wins and 2 losses. But can they get through to the semi-finals of the Foxtel Cup? Coming to you from the MCG. And Brooksby with first hands on the footy. But Port will win the first clearance, albeit a half-distance kick. Hinkley allowed it to bounce. And now the Panthers with the first true kick to half forward. Centering ball. And good strong hands taken overhead. The Panthers are away. Stribling on his left. The kick through the hands of Brooksby. Early chance there goes begging. And now getting involved was Langford. Hinkley works his way into possession. And Valenti. And the spread comes now. And Port Melbourne with some space on the outer side. Kick looking for and finding that man, Sam O'Sullivan. What a performance up in Darwin from him.
Oh, it was a magnificent performance by O'Sullivan. The 7 goals, and he was terrific.
Kick inside 50, in fact.
Is to move the ball quick and give our forwards the best chance.
And they're looking inside too, Hawley. Every opportunity, try and come through the corridor.
Pinwell. Now there's a chance if the kick is good, and it is. It's an absolute beauty. And on that occasion, Scarponi did not have to break stride. And that was their best bit of footy so far, ending up with an opportunity from 45 out directly in front.
I know the goals haven't come for either side as yet, but just a work rate from both teams. It's just been up and back, and plenty of changes down here.
Can you believe it? With just over 90 seconds to play, it's taken Port this long to get there first, but they are on the board off the boot of Josh Scarponi.
Themselves out of it before a pretty convincing win.
Yeah, that was a month or so ago now, wasn't it? Yeah, and they just ran all over them in the end, so it's certainly impressive doing that. We saw them play last week against Coburg, and they did the same thing. They just outmuscled as the game went on. They just...
With plenty of pressure.
Good run from Dwyer and Pitt to Brewer. Well worked by Port. Mark required here, and Mark taken. That was terrific work through the middle. And Billy Burston, 19 goals this year. Obviously, the likes of Dean Galea and Chris Kane, who are rested today, 72 goals between them. But he gets his chance today to be a real focal point. And Billy Burston, a name that could be in Hollywood. Instead, it's at the MCG. Left footer, got plenty on it, and enough. There's a holding.
No.
Well, the big man, 202 centimetres, 96 kilos, Ben Dowdell, has given away the free kick and a gimme goal, you suspect.
Well,
such a giant of a man, Adrian Bonadeo. Slots it, and all tied up we are at the MCG.
So, Huey, you start in the ruck. So, familiar with those setups in there, okay? So there'll be toes, there'll be bench, and there'll also to be shown. So if the ball goes forward, just sort of set yourself up as sort of that kick behind the plate. All right, Bonners, you're working really well, mate. So we're on a break roll. Yep. So what we'll do is we'll give Huey a few minutes in there, then we'll look to bring you off for a minute or two, and then we'll throw you in there, and then LCL, you'll end up going forward, mate. All right, that'll be the role that we're looking at you to play there. Now, just with all these stoppages, they look like they're trying to get numbers forward of where we set up. So we've tried a couple of occasions to actually try and feed that ball forward. I reckon that's playing into their hands because they're going to be forward of that particular stoppage. So if we can look to go laterally, but also too if we can look to feed the ball back.
And gosh, wouldn't
Just
like
fighting for it.
Wouldn't like to try and pinch his
Lunch money.
exactly in the schoolyard. Brilliant kick. O'Sullivan, did he hold it long enough? No, but the arm was chopped. And you can see in the first 50 seconds here, Port Melbourne have come out with a new intensity.
They certainly have. You can see it from the outset. Their intensity and ferocity at the contest, and ultimately that's how they won the ball.
Well, it was Brooksby in that the first centre bounce of the first quarter for South Adelaide, and then we've just seen the intensity of the entire Port Melbourne team to start this second half.
Sam O'Sullivan loves a goal and has no trouble to give Port the lead. Kick for Sandilands, who's been put in the ruck for a moment or two. Turns and kicks almost instinctively, and Bonadeo went to the right spot. Most importantly, the kick went there as well.
Well, it was a really smart kick because the ruckman actually dropped back in front of him, but he actually used the angle and took the ruckman out of the play. It was a fantastic kick in the end.
For mine, I was all set up there by Valenti changing the angles there. He brought that ball back into the centre corridor, and that just opened up the entire field there for Port Melbourne.
And that quick ball movement, as we've said all day, just the space Bonadeo had to work in. And this guy never misses, Hawley.
Ever.
Ever.
It's got the build of a rocker, but it's a Bonadeo. 3 paces. Ben Dixon has called it as he sees it. And that's all that matters at the MCG because it's a goal to Port. South Adelaide now, initially through Crate and Thulis. Wide ball, and Burston, our man, gets involved. Great tackle. Will he be rewarded? Oh, the umpire had no sense of theatre or rewarding the player that... Important ball inside the centre circles here, and Bonadeo just slams it on the boot. Burston, drop the chest mark, still he goes. Hand pass, it's a floater. It hangs a long time, but Dwyer gets there, needs to get on his boot, and he does just that. Had plenty of airtime, but Dwyer kept his composure.
Well, it wasn't pretty, was it? Because we thought Burston there could have probably thrown it on the boot for a snap for goal, but just unselfishly, we see the big fella there, that important clearance, it just makes the defenders very nervous when that ball comes in long and high there. But it was a real floating handball there by Burston, but Dwyer was able to make good of it in the end.
Boyle came. It was Dermott. Across to Bentic. Now it's Billy Burston. Oh, kept his composure and found Langford almost at the top of the square. Could have blazed away, but the team thinking went straight to his head.
And it was team thinking because he could have easily tried for the check side there or dribbled along the ground for the goal, but you'll always find in those cases there is people open in that centre corridor. So you've just got to have a look, don't you? Because if you miss, you should expect a spray from your teammate.
Well, and generally it opens up really late.
Yeah.
So if you hold on to the footy and be a little bit patient, generally it opens up later than what you think.
Langford, from almost point-blank range, gives Port Melbourne a handy buffer heading into three-quarter time. Clayton Hinkley with some time. A centering ball. Pressure. Oh, marked by Sandilands. Was outstanding. Great body use.
Yeah, it was. It was really good body use, but it was just a kick to that real critical spot inside 50 there where, you know, Sandilands is a big boy there, and it was good body work there because Casley's been really good today.
One thing he did do is just protect where the ball was going to drop, and he almost fell into it, so it was a great body positioning.
Big Hugh just on his left. Consummate ease. Awkward ball for Vady. And turning and going. Bentic. Port on the charge. With a long ball, the bounce is good. That might be the game breaker from Dwyer.
One thing they actually get, Port Melbourne, which probably goes unnoticed, is a lot of run from their defence. You got Woods, Brewer off half-back, are just so creative. There you have Brewer putting pressure. These guys are pressing up the field. Wood, who's playing on one of the dangerous forwards in Rolf, gets the ball up there. Just creative, and Port Melbourne, when they answer bang, bang.
Shoot me down. 17 points, biggest margin of the game. Why doesn't he attack the footy with zest? Daniel shut down. They won't get this bloke. Bonadeo just...
It's a big unit.
Just barges through and creates space. On the end of it, there's Mr. Burston, who had it lace out.
That's terrific work from the big raging bull, Bonadeo. I mean, Gary Ayres made him a focus in the third quarter, but he can go in the ruck, throw his body around. That was just outstanding play.
Well, that's an asset that you really need in a ruckman, is their second and third effort, their
Aggression.
follow-up. Their follow-up after the hit-outs. It's something you rarely see.
If someone was at the running of the Bulls, he's the man you'd like beside you. Adrian Bonadeo, just to create a shield. And Burston with a textbook kick. And Port Melbourne continue to give South Adelaide every response required. Have Vady on the other side. A juggling effort. In short. Cross. Watch out.
Well done.
Crunched. Both players fully committed. And in the end, it was Pitt.
Fantastic play from Pitt.
Yep.
Well, that's the other thing from Port Melbourne's point of view is they've got players to come back. You know, if they get over today, which it looks like they're gonna.
Outside the 50. Hangs on to the mark. So it's going to be a semi-final between Claremont and Port Melbourne. What a cracking game that will be, as Langford from the impossible angle.
No.
Does it?
That defies everything about that. That was
That just shouldn't go in.
a snap on the right with no daylight. How does that?
Outstanding football, and he may kick more goals in his career, Tom Langford, but I'm hazarding a guess he'll never kick a better one.
Oh, we're just seeing the replay here. Oh, look at that. if he went down and kicked that another 10 times, he'd be lucky to kick that once out of those 10 times. That's just a brilliant finish.
It sounds silly though, but he actually kicked for it. You can see the way he angled the ball. He actually kicked for the goal and not just blazed away. It was a fantastic shot.
Semi-final we will have at Patterson Stadium, with Port Melbourne coming west to take on the running WAFL champions Claremont. So,
well, VFL and Waffle premiers coming up in the semi-final.
Doesn't get much better than that. It's been a terrific quarter-final though here at the MCG, and the victors are Port Melbourne.